Well, we'd like to get started now if we could. My name's Kevin Daly. I'll be your MC tonight, or this afternoon, excuse me. And luckily hopefully everybody made it here not an hour early, but an hour on time. So at this point in time, we'd like to ask Jason Johnson, U.S. Army veteran and distinguished alumnus today, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Jason.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Jason. We'd like to welcome everyone to the 13th Alumnus 2018 Distinguished Alumni Hall of Honor ceremony. I'd like to give a special recognition to the former president of the Alumni Association, Dick Sullivan. Thank you for being here today, Dick. We appreciate it greatly. Before we move forward in the program, I'd like to invite you to join us after the ceremony in the North Hall, which is just down outside and to the left, where we'll have a lot of refreshments and Lapeer School memorabilia on display, including the high school yearbook from the class of 1927. We got anybody here from the class of 27? Oh, I don't think so. I think it was back before that. Okay, to begin our program, we have a special musical presentation by distinguished alumnus and award-winning musician Deb Barber. She's accompanied by her niece Emily Barber. This year they will honor the Pete Lynch's class, which happens to be my class too, with one of the hits from 1975. Welcome, Deb and Barber.
We also have a special guest, Elizabeth Barber, who we're the princess party. Come to join us.
We're starting them young. She's going to join the duo. She can be the trio next.
I don't need a whole lot of loving. I don't need a big fine car. I've got everything that any man would want. I've got more than I can ask for. And I don't have to run around. I don't have to stay up all night. But I got me a sweet, sweet loving woman. She knows how to treat me right. Well, my baby, she's alright. Well, my baby's turning out exactly. Don't you know that she's some kind of wonderful, some kind of wonderful. Yeah, she is. She's some kind of wonderful. Yeah, 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 yeah. When I hold her in my arms, you know she sets my soul on fire. Oh, and my baby kisses me, my heart becomes filled with desire. When she wraps her loving arms around me, she about to drive me out of my mind.
Thank you. Let's give them one more round of applause. What a great job. Our first speaker today is going to be Lapeer Community Schools Superintendent Matt Wandry. Matt is in his 8th year as leader of our school system. He is the longest serving superintendent in Lapeer County. Mr. Wandry is now leading the district through its second strategic planning process, working to secure the future of the school district that has meant so much to all of us. Please welcome Mr. Matt Wandry, who will speak on behalf of Lapeer Community Schools.
Thank you, Kevin. I'll be brief. We're going to get to the reason we're all here today. But on behalf of the Board of Education and Lapeer Community Schools Central Office Leadership Team and our entire staff, just want to say how pleased we are to see so many people here today to recognize these 3 special individuals. As superintendent, it's a unique position because the day-to-day operation of the organization is our primary mission, and looking forward as to kind of down the road of what coming next for the organization is really a key component of what I spend my time doing on a daily basis. But any organization, as forward-thinking as they might be, is well served to look back and honor the history of what built it, and certainly in Lapeer, we do that, I think, very well. Predating me, the inaugural class 13 years ago of the Alumni Association Hall of Honors is just one way in which our district takes great strides and pains to remember the past and honor those who built the foundational component of this great community and its school district. I was joking with Pete earlier. His dad, as a former superintendent, was luckier than me, I think, at a time when Lapeer was a growing community and he got to build schools and attend, ribbon-cutting ceremonies. And we're in an unfortunate time. I say unfortunate only because we're getting smaller as a community, and as a result, we've had to close schools and consolidate the operation. And that's been a challenging thing to manage through, but also one that presents great opportunity. Anytime that change is a part of an organization's experience, it provides the opportunity for us to engage the community and talk about the past, because people have a great affinity for what they know to be the history of the district and schools and teachers and principals and leaders that have meant so much to them. And they are fearful of what things might look like when those things go away and when they change. And I think I've had great pride in my 8 years, as Kevin mentioned, leading the district through the historic reunification of East and West High School into one Lapeer High School. And I can honestly tell you that being intimately involved in that process was one of the most professional blessings of my career as a leader, to watch the community come together. We heard a lot of naysayers say that it would never be possible, that the kids from East and West couldn't possibly be and coexist in the same building. And I think I heard the word gang fights there would break out if we forced the issue. And quite frankly, we have one of the best high schools in the country. I've worked in 6 school districts in my 20-plus year career as an educator and been involved in many high schools. And folks, I can tell you right now, we have some great kids, some great families in this community. And the students and the staff at Lapeer High School led our community through that change. And here we are with an 11-0 football team getting ready to compete at the highest levels in the state. And that's just one indicator of how that reunification has been very successful for us. We have tremendous growth in academic opportunities for all of our kids. We have over 400 students, as one example, who complete and take dual enrollment courses for college credit while here in Lapeer Community Schools. 9 short years ago, we only had about 10, 11, maybe 12 students experiencing those opportunities. So although we lost a school and merged back into one, we have really fortified our efforts to make sure that the opportunities for kids are expanding and growing, and our student achievement scores and things of that nature, which are some of the metrics that people use to look at school districts, are all trending in the right direction. So we're very proud in the midst of great change and in reduction in revenue and shrinking our resources, that we've been able to provide a really great opportunity for our kids. And so today is our opportunity not to look forward, but to look back and say thank you to those that came before, who made significant contributions while they were in school here in Lapeer, but more so than that and beyond those contributions as young people, have stayed a part of the Lapeer community and continued to make great contributions, not just to Lapeer, but to the world beyond. And this is our small token of gratitude and appreciation to say thank you for putting Lapeer on the map by virtue of your contributions to the greater society. Thank you for taking the foundational component of your educational experience in Lapeer and expanding on it. And because there are so many just faces in the crowd, and the three folks that we're about to recognize today certainly are not that. They stand out. And this is our way of saying thank you and honoring the strong history and the proud history of Lapeer Community Schools. So I look forward to sharing that with all of you today, and thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you, Matt. Now we will take a short ride down memory lane. If you look at the video up above, we'll show you a video. Now I would like to introduce our 2018 inductees. If you would please stand when I call your name. The Reverend Mr. Pete Lynch, Lapeer High School, Senior High School, class of 1975. Mrs. Michele Harlan Bradford, Lapeer West High School, class of 1990. And Mr. Jason Johnson, Lapeer West High School, class of 93. We would ask all three inductees to stay seated until you're asked to come to receive their award. Our first inductee is from the Lapeer Senior High School class of 1975. As I mentioned before, I was from that class of 1975, the last graduating class from one high school in 1975. And I'll tell you, when I first saw these inductees announcements, I thought 1975, and that's the oldest class being recognized here today. So I thought, man, we're really in that crowd now, Pete. We've made it. So I did a little homework, yeah. And yeah, Pete kids me because he thinks I fared better than him because I still have hair, I think. But the president was President Gerald Ford. There's probably a lot of people in the room that don't remember a lot of these things. In fact, I'll tell you, I mentioned to Matt Wandry that same thing when he first got up here, and he said, well, Kevin, you really want to feel old? I was born in 1976. So if that tells you anything right there. Governor Bill Milliken was our governor. The number one song was Captain and Tennille, Love Will Keep You Together. The number one movie was One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. A brand new car in 1975, a pretty nice car you could buy for $4,950. The average income was $8,630. Postage stamps were 10 cents. A gallon of gas was 57 cents. The one that really floored me as a former dairy farmer, a gallon of milk was $1.57. Now what are you getting milk for today, folks? Yeah, $1.99, so it's not very much different. Well, if you're on Drummond Island, yeah, I can see that. So our first inductee, 1975 Lapeer Senior High School graduate, Reverend Mr. Pete Lynch. Pete is a son of Edward Lynch, the former superintendent of Lapeer Community Schools. Is a lifelong resident of Lapeer who graduated from Central Michigan University in 1979. He devoted his life to serving the intellectually disabled. He met his wife, Kathy, while working at the Oakdale Regional Center in Lapeer. Pete has worked for the Macomb Oakland Regional Center in Clinton Township for over 38 years. Pete became a permanent deacon in the Roman Catholic Church in 2017 after attending Sacred Heart Major Seminary in Detroit. He has been an active member of the Immaculate Conception Parish in Lapeer for 54 years and has served as a catechist for 24 years. Now to say a few words on Pete's behalf is his daughter, Maureen Rogel.
Hi. It is my distinct honor to be here to say something about my dad. My family is big and Irish and loud, and they tell a lot of stories. And I think every single one of them swallowed the Blarney Stone. So I've heard a lot about my father growing up in Lapeer Community Schools. I heard a lot about his athletic prowess, which, from everything I can gather, was nothing short of prodigious. I'm sure the men that you hit on the football field have not forgotten you. And my grandmother, who doesn't remember my name or which son I came from, remembers watching her son play football and basketball. She said to me last Christmas, "Oh, my son, he was so good." And I said, "Which one?" "Oh, Peter." She goes, "Do you know him?" So, not forgettable. What I hear about my father from his days in the classroom, I could probably summarize as curious student. And I think probably most of the educators in the room would say that your curious students are probably your most challenging, your pistols maybe. I think you spent a lot of time in the halls here, Dad. You're at Irwin. But I think the thing that's important to know about you as a student, and probably all kids who are real curious, is that you're looking for the lessons that are underneath the plans and written on the margins of the textbook, not the ones that are taught from A to Z. And it's obvious watching you and the way that you learn over your life that you're constantly trying to find the lesson that's going to show you how to live a better life. And so I think that's a real gift. That's a real gift, Dad. My grandfather, who was definitely a distinguished person and who was the superintendent here, he loved this school district dearly. He was the superintendent when my dad graduated, and so he gave my dad his diploma when he walked across the stage. And again, my big Irish family and their storytelling, the way the story goes is that he gave Dad his diploma, and as Dad walked by, he goes, whew, wiped his brow in relief. That one's done. Because my grandfather never met a joke he could pass up, ever. And I will say, I'm sure he was relieved, but I know he was also proud. And today, as we stand here, I know he's extremely proud. So, congratulations, Dad. I'm honored to be here, and thank you so much.
Pete, if you would come forward now, that would be great. Go ahead and come forward, Pete. Yeah, I'm sorry, you were hugging your daughter. Yeah. And everybody was clapping.
I'm still deaf in one ear.
Did you want to say?
Yeah. Kevin, you need to ask whether I want to say anything. I'm Irish.
Where's the cake?
Yeah. And now I'm ordained, and they say the worst thing to do is to give an ordained man a microphone. He'll stay up here forever. There's a few people I just wanted to thank, so it won't be long. But I want to start by thanking my good Lord above. I praise and thank him for this moment. In addition, I'd like to thank my good friend Dick Sullivan, who saw something in me I didn't exactly see and nominated me for this award. Thank you, Dick. We've become really close in the last few years especially. And we share a common faith and enjoy those discussions, but we also share a common love for Notre Dame football. So that's a lot of fun. I also want to make sure I mention how thankful I am for the teachers I had. I'm only going to name a few, but there's a whole bunch that I really appreciated. Teachers and coaches. Mrs. Pavelio, Mr. Nelson, Mr. Warner, Mr. Townsend, and Mrs. Timke, Mr. Hoppy, and many others that, again, saw something in me that I didn't see in myself, and I appreciate it very much. I was joking with Bob Dennany in the back that there was two reasons why I went to school. One was to play sports, the other one was to chase girls. And sometimes I had them the other way around. But you notice there wasn't academics in there. And that's why my dad went, phew. I'd like to thank my lovely wife of 39 years. She's been my rock. I thank you so much. I couldn't have done any of this without your love and support. Thank you. And for my children, Maureen and Matthew, thank you. Most importantly, though, I want to thank, whom's come up a number of times already today, my father, Ed Lynch, for providing me with a firm foundation to build on. I want to tell you a real quick story. When I was going to school here, I had Mrs. Schwab. I'll say that 3 times real quick. I had Mrs. Schwab for 5th grade. And she had this little thought assignment, like, who was a person in your life that's really influenced you the most? I'm not kidding you. There was about 35 kids in the class. They all took either celebrities or pro athletes. I chose my dad. My dad was bad with me. And I was the only one to select a parent that day. At the time, I think it was because I thought, he's the funniest guy on earth. My dad had a tremendous sense of humor. But upon reflection, I've come to know that it was because of his 2 great passions. His love of his faith and his love of education. I stand before you now receiving this award in recognition of both. And I thank you, Dad. I am eternally grateful, and thank you.
Our next inductee is a 1990 Lapeer West High School graduate, Michele Harlan Bradford. Michele, a proud Lapeer West graduate, has worked for the district in numerous capacities throughout her career. She started as a substitute teacher and quickly worked her way into leadership position one after another. She started working as a substitute in 1995. She became a program support employee in 1996, then an elementary school teacher and principal. She is currently the district's Executive Director of Curriculum and Instruction. In this position, Michele is responsible for maintaining the highest standards of achievement for students and staff. She has a passion for teaching and learning that permeates everything she does. She has been the driving force behind the district's focus on student-centered learning, data-driven decision-making, and shifts toward innovative instructional practices. During her tenure, the district has seen tremendous growth in student achievement metrics at all levels. Michele graduated from the U of M Flint with a BS in elementary education and holds 2 advanced degrees from Saginaw Valley University. Just this year, Bradford received the Distinguished Service Award in recognition of her achievements on behalf of the students and staff of Lapeer Community Schools. Now to say a few words on behalf of Michele, is her colleague, Matt Wander.
I was asked to introduce Michele. I'm getting accustomed and used to presenting her with awards. She's a highly decorated member of our staff. And Kevin did a great job of talking about Michele's bio. It is a rare person who begins a career in this industry as a paraprofessional, as a substitute teacher, who eventually becomes an organization's Director of Curriculum and Instruction. It is a rare accomplishment. And one that I think speaks to the thing about Michele that I appreciate and admire the most, and that is her work ethic. When I became a school leader, I didn't study school leadership. I studied leadership in business, leadership in the military, read books on generals and presidents and CEOs. And there was a common theme and thread that you read in each one of those bios of effective and good leaders. And it was always about hiring and bringing on board people who are smarter than you, better than you, more educated than you, and more knowledgeable about the thing you're hiring them for. I can honestly say that the team that we have put together here at Lapeer Community Schools relative to leadership is just that. They would all tell you they're smarter than me. Michele is absolutely no exception. There is absolutely, and I say this with all sincerity, there's absolutely no way on earth that this district would be on the trajectory that it currently enjoys without Michele Bradford. This is the 3rd curriculum director that I've had in my tenure here at Lapeer Community Schools, and not to diminish the accomplishments of the other 2, but Michele Bradford is by far the most talented person that I've worked with in this district, and it is because of her leadership, her vision, her work ethic, her experience, and her ability to relate to all types of people. Leaders oftentimes lose when they become, when they achieve and ascend to the highest levels of their industry, oftentimes lose touch with their foundation, the beginning of their career, what started their passion for education in this particular example, their passion for working with young people. All of us, from gym teachers or cooks or secretaries to superintendents, all began in education working with kids. We didn't start out as superintendents or curriculum directors. We started out as teachers. We started out as coaches. And it's the rare leader who can maintain that connection to the children and the passion that originally sparked their interest in this business, although they become one of the key leaders of an organization of this size. And Michele is special in that way. Everyone that you talk to, the people that she seeks to lead, the teachers, the principals, the students, those she's worked with and led. She was a principal at Lynch Elementary School for a number of years, which is when I first found and discovered her talent. Will tell you that Michele is by far one of the most dedicated, humble, and committed people I've ever worked with. And I think it's why the awards keep coming in. So it's my distinct honor not just to give this award to Michele, but to work with her every day, because it really is a pleasure. I don't lead Michele. I just hired her and got the heck out of the way. And every once in a while, she'll go for a couple weeks and she'll say, I haven't talked to you in a while and I forgot to ask your permission on this, but are you okay with this? I can't recall a time where I've said no. I can't recall a time where I've said, what are you doing? It's just good enough to know to get out of her way and let her do what she does, because in my humble opinion, no one does it better. So, Michele Bradford.
I just want to thank everyone for being here today, but thank you, Bridget, for nominating me. It's a great honor to work for Lapeer Community Schools. I can't imagine a better community to grow up in and work in and live in and raise a family. Growing up in this community, I have such fond memories, and I wanted to work in this district as a result of all the great experiences I had growing up. I had the opportunity to work at all levels, like Matt mentioned, but in every position I was in, I loved working with Lapeer Community Schools families and students, and we have a great community, and just being part of it is an honor. Many doors have opened up for me throughout this, but I thank the organization for that. It's truly grown me. This organization has grown me professionally and personally, and I just couldn't imagine a better place to be. Thank you.
Our third inductee is a 1993 Lapeer West High School graduate, Jason Johnson. Jason Johnson, a proud Lapeer West graduate, has parlayed his military training and passion for public service into a nonprofit organization that helps canines. Jason is founder and CEO of Project Canine Hero, an organization created to ensure the best quality of life for retired military working dogs and police canine heroes. Project Canine Hero provides assistance with medical costs, food, and end-of-duty services for these animals. Jason formerly has served as a field canine coordinator for the ATF. Prior to working for the ATF, he served as an explosive detection canine handler, trainer, kennel master, and protective security specialist for the U.S. State Department. He is a U.S. Army veteran who served as a military police officer. He earned 2 degrees in security management from Bellevue University and has published a children's book about his first canine partnership, Flash. Jason is currently the president and CEO of Canine Solutions International, where he manages, contracts, and consults with civilians and government agencies that utilize canine services. In a recent edition of Ops Lens magazine, in which he was named a frontline leader, Marjorie Eastman wrote this on behalf of Jason. Jason knew firsthand the life-changing, selfless service these working dogs have provided, having served himself alongside them in the military. As a law enforcement officer and with various U.S. government agencies for more than 2 decades. He has performed countless high-risk missions stateside and abroad. Furthermore, he understood the costs and care needed for those extraordinary animals and that there were no public funds to help. Jason's passion and mission resonates as the momentum of his work is catching on, raising awareness and educating the public. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my honor to introduce to you Mr. Jason Johnson.
Thank you for the wonderful introduction, and I just want to say thank you for everyone who came out to join us on this special day. So I'm going to be honest, I wasn't the best student at Lapeer West. If you look where everybody ranked when they graduated, we had 300-something people, 400, I probably was around 100. Knew I wanted to be a soldier my entire life. I knew that's what I was going to do, and I just focused on what was going to get me into the military. So I did enough to get by. I did enough to make sure that I could still get in the Army, but I didn't really excel in it. And as E.E. Cummings said, it takes a lot of courage to grow up and be the person you are. So I joined the United States Army in '93, right after I graduated, and had just a wonderful career. And I actually see one of my classmates here. I think Major Frank Fisher came here today. He served with me. He was in my basic training unit, and he was also with me in Germany for 3 years. So thank you, Major Fisher, for attending. I have so many people to thank that got me here. The people I served with in the United States Army for 5 years. Served as a military police officer. And to be honest with you, like once again, that wasn't quite enough for me. I wanted to go out and do something bigger, do something better. I felt the Army was holding me back. So at 23 years old, I got out and I joined the police department. And I wanted to be a SWAT canine handler. I thought being a SWAT canine handler was the best job in the world. And I'm here to tell you, it still is the best job in the world, if you ever met one. So I went out there and I did my best at that, and I met all kinds of brothers and sisters in blue who had my back, and we served the communities. I worked in Washington State, Tacoma and Yakima, Washington, and we did amazing things for up until the time I was about 33 years old. And I got recruited for a position in Iraq to serve with the U.S. ambassador as his personal protection canine handler. An opportunity that I just couldn't pass up. I took that opportunity, and I met so many great people. Did over 125 missions there, and served 3 tours there in Iraq. I also did an additional tour in Afghanistan. Did the elections in both countries. I was a dog handler, protecting everybody from the president on down. And I thought, man, that was pretty cool. What do I do from here? And I got recruited by the ATF to come back to DC to be an instructor. And that's when I really started working on myself as an instructor and changing other lives. Up until that point, I was just focused on my career and how well I could do in personal life. But when I got to ATF, I got the opportunity to instruct somewhere around 2,000 canine handlers right here in the United States. And that's with the FBI, the CIA, the United States Marshal's Office, National Geospatial Agency, and dozens of law enforcement agencies here in America. And that's when you really start influencing the safety of your communities, the safety of America as a nation. And that position right there really took me onto a path in leadership and other things that I'm so thankful of. I spent a little time there, and then I went on to the Department of Homeland Security. And if you guys ever seen the dogs down at Detroit Airport, I used to manage that program. Those dogs all used to work under my program at a time, and I helped train those dogs to protect all the infrastructure and transportation systems, not only here in the state of Michigan, but throughout America. And I had a pretty important job there, and I took that pretty seriously. But what I found over all that time, after about 24 years of service doing that, is that these police dogs and these military working dogs that I was training with and helping out weren't getting any care or medical when they retired. That they were serving their entire career, and when they got out of service, nobody was there to take care of them other than if their handler got them, they were still responsible for the medical bills. So I started the Project Canine Hero Foundation, a foundation that is now national, a foundation that's known through all 50 states. We take care of significant military and police heroes who have served their country so well, but now have special needs or a financial burden on their own. And so that is such an honor, and that honor of me leading this organization has brought such great recognition and such great, just recognition and awareness to our program. Just recently, my dog Flash, who you saw in a lot of the photos with her book, Canine Flash Becomes a Hero, she was named the 2018 Law Enforcement Dog of the Year, and we were recently awarded that in Hollywood and shown on the Hallmark Channel here a few weeks ago. We appeared on the Today Show in New York City a few weeks ago, and this is really helping us build momentum for what we do as a foundation. So I want to say thank you for everyone who's ever supported that foundation, and I know we're here getting an award, but I'm only 25 years out of high school, and I actually truly feel that I'm just getting started. That we're just now getting some traction, and we're just now building this. So most importantly, my mom and dad's here. I have aunts, uncles, my brother, Amanda, my aunt, and I see a lot of friends in my room from Lapeer West. I want to say thank you for attending. I would not be here if it wasn't for the hundreds, if not thousands, of people who have influenced my life. And each of those people I've learned something from, I've taken something from, and I've tried to build upon it. So if we've ever crossed paths or I've ever spending time with you. People who know me well know that. Thank you for making me the person I am today. Would not be here without you. And finally, I want to talk about the dedication of this award. So, my sister had passed away last year. She was a Lapeer West graduate, class of '97, and she was very involved here at this school district. She was voted the most athletic in her class, and she went on to do some great things in life as well. And unfortunately, a year ago we lost her, so I dedicated this last year of my career to Jody, and I want to make an announcement that I'm going to be starting the Jody Johnson Memorial Scholarship in her honor, and I'd like to work with the school board on that, and we're going to use funds from my foundation to do that every year for a student in this district. And I'd like to base that off of her love for sports and her love for band and music, and give that award out, give that scholarship award out every year to someone here in the Lapeer Community School District. So that is the basis of what I'm dedicating this award to this year, using my platform for that. And I want to thank you to my fellow classmates who nominated me, the school leadership for having me here today. We traveled to make sure we could be here, and most importantly, my immediate family, my mom, dad, and Amanda, for everything you do for me. I certainly wouldn't be here today without you. So, thank you.
Congratulations. Could we have all three inductees stand up for just a minute? We'll give them all a great round of applause for their... And then with that, we would like to ask, is there any distinguished alumni that are in the group here today? If everyone would rise, it's a distinguished alumni member, we'd like to recognize you. The new ones as well, so come on, I know there's several out here in the audience. Thank you. Now, if we would like to recognize anybody that graduated from Lapeer schools, period. Anybody in the room that's graduated from Lapeer schools, please stand. Then one last person that we didn't mention at the beginning, we mentioned Dick Sullivan's involvement with the Alumni Association, and Shirley Braxton, who's sitting back here in the back, and I want to mention Shirley, who told me she's been the treasurer of this organization since basically it was, that position was founded, I think she said, for 18 years. Is that right, Shirley? Stand up and be recognized, would you, Shirley? When she said she remembers at the beginning of this, must have been 18 years ago, when Hollis Hayes, who everybody knows who Hollis Hayes was, that is anybody in Lapeer, Hollis Hayes, she said at one time she had $80,000 laying on the table in front of her when this organization was formed. So that's quite an accomplishment, and a guy like Hollis Hayes could get that done. Okay, I guess we're going to finish up now. We want to remind everybody that there's going to be refreshments out there. Apparently, there's a table outside the door. Is that where the table is with the... Yep. Where's Jared? Okay, outside the door is a table. If you're interested in nominating somebody for next year, there's some forms on there you can fill out. And we'd like to thank everybody for coming, and a special thank you to all the families and the inductees today. And hopefully next year there'll be somebody earlier than 1975 that's inducted. So, thank you all for coming.